So you're a nurse?
I am a nurse. I work in the school district.
Can you tell me? Well, this month is very special because it's Child Abuse Awareness Month. And so since you're a nurse, I'd like your point of view on what is child abuse and how can we tackle it?
So child abuse is when children are either physically, emotionally, or mentally taxed in an ability that limits them, and they are either child abuses through fear, it can be through intimidation, it can be sexual abuse. There's a lot of different forms of children battery. As a school nurse, I look for kids that are scared to go home. They do not communicate with their parents. They do not have a safe adult that they can rely on or trust. They are secretive. They don't really open up to anyone. Those are children that I sort of seek out as candidates that might be going through abuse.
Can you tell me a little bit about what happens to children that go through those things and don't receive help?
When they don't receive help, it impacts their relationships in the future, because growing up in an environment where they don't trust adults, they don't trust their own abilities to be taken care of, they don't trust the world can take care of them. These are children that will grow up and either develop unhealthy relationships in the future to mirror what they had in their past. There are statistics that say that children that go through abuse are 66% more likely to have abusive relationships in the future and to continue the cycle of abuse. Either they will be the victim or they will be the abuser. What I do as a nurse is when I do see those children, as I spoke about earlier, I don't directly ask them about abuse because kids will never admit it, because they do live at home with these parents. They're the ones going home to the parents and we're not. So when you think about what they're going through and who they're going home to, you really have to be sensitive when addressing them, because if their parents know that they made the report, whatever abuse you're hearing about, it's going to be a lot worse because now the parents know. You make sure that they're safe, that you have a relationship with them. You usually don't want an outside person questioning them. Having social workers walk into a school that they don't know the kids, they don't know their story, is very harmful to the kids. Again, because they do have issues with trust and connection and their ability to trust that they're going to be taken care of, because those needs were not met when they were young. When you do see a child that is exhibiting signs of abuse, you need to be careful with them. You need to be sensitive to them. I think that it's important that you don't interrogate them. You ask them gently. You don't ask them directly.
So do it naturally.
You don't sit, it's not an interrogation, they're a child. I usually take my kids out on walks. I usually color with them. I usually get them out of their zone. And if once they're ready to start talking, they'll talk.
So when we don't stop abuse, it basically becomes tenfold in that child's life, because it just inherits a whole bunch of statistical problems.
Absolutely. I think that children that are getting left behind, aside for the hurt that they're going through, again, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, the child's going through abuse. And even after they leave that house, they will experience that abuse through PTSD, through finding relationships that mirror that. They will continue hurting themselves unless they're able to get help, and they have adults that they trust and people that care about them and people that will take care of them, people that will listen to the reports. CPS has a record of only listening to 10% of reports. Those are the 10% are the number that they look into. That's not even the number that they address. That's not even the number that they take care of or do anything about. They do not acknowledge mandated reporters. They do kind of run on their own time schedule, and CPS is not monitored through an outside source.
Besides the courts.
Outside of the courts, there's no board of directors, there's no
checks and balances.
Exactly. So you see that there's an awful lot of imbalance because there's a lot of aggressive CPS is very aggressive towards families that don't necessarily need to have aggression towards them, and then they do ignore the numbers and numbers of cases against certain families, and they won't address them. It's almost like CPS is at a buffet and they want to choose the problems that they want to go to, and I have a problem with that as a school nurse, seeing children that have had multiple reports on them and are not getting the help because CPS will not pick up that file and take care of it.
Yeah, I see cases, when they fail to protect children, a lot of children end up becoming dead.
Yeah.
Abuse to the degree
They can be dead. They can get drug abused. They can get, it's a sad story. CPS is a sad excuse for a government agency. It's a very sad excuse. They have a lot of answers they need to give us. They need a lot more accountability, and we expect more from them. They're a disappointment.
Reports, man.
They're a disappointment in this county specifically.